Mitakaioisen, as I was saying. So this guy comes along, a foolish man really, and proclaims what you've been told is valuable really isn't. I mean, wow, how does one respond to that? And the foolish man takes it a step further. What you've been told is real truly isn't. Imagine you're one of the persons listening to him, and what's your reaction going to be? And here's an element of this interaction that is absolutely crucial to your understanding. He has come to you. You have not gone to him. It's possible you heard a rumor he may be in the area and you wanted to catch him in action. Maybe you knew he was going to walk by but had no idea if he was going to say anything. Or maybe still, you simply happened to be standing or sitting there when he happened by. And then he stops and he starts talking, maybe in response to someone's question. Maybe he just starts talking to no one in particular, with the hope of attracting a small crowd. Imagine further it's a sunny day, a smattering of cumulus clouds hanging in the air, the kind that don't pretend rain. Further still, it's neither warm nor cold. In fact, it's perfect. The air is perfumed with faint odors of persimmon and olive oil from local trees in abundance. You're wearing sandals, everyone is, in loose-fitting clothes, and the sun is shining upon your face. You're relaxed and comfortable and happy. And then when this foolish guy arrives, you detect the mix of muskroot oil and sweat. Of course, others' sweat is all around you, has been all around you, so has your own. But perspiration, his perspiration, mixed with muskroot oil, something else entirely. He speaks loud enough for you to know that he knows he has an audience. You don't really know what he says at first, but then you catch it. You hear these words out of his mouth. It's not important. It's not important to build up riches and clothe yourself extravagantly. Yeah, where did that expensive muskroot come from, you wonder with a smirk. It's not important to be publicly recognized for looking good, publicly recognized for doing good. What you've been taught to value has been wrong. You don't achieve purpose, you don't achieve happiness, you don't achieve a valuable life by just playing at ceremony. In fact, even what you've been taught about suffering is inaccurate. You haven't done anything wrong, you haven't earned your suffering. Ours is a hard world, even brutal. Our suffering builds our character, it establishes a value system within us. It allows us to become stronger in the face of our suffering so that more and more we rise above it. We become women and men of grace and kindness and dignity. We become beacons of hope that others can turn to alleviate their own suffering. A friend once told me, we heal others by the wounds we receive. This I believe with all my heart. Comfort is nice, but nobody guarantees you comfort. Nobody grows as a person in their hearts and minds, and most importantly, their souls, because of your comfort. Pretty amazing, huh? Certainly wasn't what you expected to hear today of all days, with the sun shining so maternally, caressing you with its warmth and the promise of a good day and a better tomorrow. And suddenly you notice that your neck has just developed a tinge of pain. And you'll realize this small pain is from craning your neck so that you can hear and see him better. Part of you wants to just leave and leave him to prattle on, but a bigger part of you wants to hear more of what he has to say. So he continues, you know, some people actually think I came here to lead a revolution, and I did, but not the kind they're thinking of. Having power, having riches, having influence, and the admiration of others just doesn't amount to a hill of beans. And here he pauses and looks the crowd over. For a moment, it feels like he's looking directly at you as if he knows you, but that's a silly notion. It's amazing, however, how in just that 1 second, as he caught your gaze, he locked in with his eyes and gave you more meaning in that locked-in look than others have given you in countless hours of dialogue. And now there's a tinge in your chest, possibly your heart, and you notice for the first time that your lips are dry, and what matters, he goes on to say, is getting right in here. What matters is discovering your purpose, which I assure you will lead you to getting right with your neighbors, to getting right with everyone around you. It will lead you, most importantly, to getting right with God. And as he finishes that last statement, you're aware that there are many in the crowd. And my, how this crowd has grown, What were a few has grown to a few score, who frown, who openly scoff, and yet there are others, maybe more than the scoffers, who are listening intently. Some even smile. And then he concludes, he brings it all home. That's what's important. That's what matters. All else is merely trappings. If you wish to know a true, lasting happiness, contentment, satisfaction, even bliss, then pursue these. Nurture your soul, because by doing this, you will come to know God. You will come to know your neighbor and yourself. You will become the thing of value that this world so desperately needs. That's it. Believe it or not, then the crowd disperses. Believe it or not, he has nothing else to say. Now, a few of the attendees come up to him to engage him in private conversation. You don't know what of. Maybe they're seeking clarification of these truth bombs he just dropped. But you really aren't sure. And then they all say goodbye to one another. The foolish man looks around as if to check if anyone else is going to approach him, and you wish that he would look at you again. So that will give you the courage to actually go up to him and talk to him. But he doesn't, so you don't. And then he moves on. He walks in the same direction he had when he first arrived, left to right, as if sweeping across the stage. And you realize the scent of muskroot is gone. The sweat of those around you has returned in its pungency. The sweat of yourself has returned in its pungency. The clouds remain above you, as does the sun. And suddenly you're alone again in a faceless crowd. And the decision is yours whether to do anything with the words of the foolish stranger you just heard, or just leave them here on the street with the rabble. And you remember that your lips are parched, you crave a drink, that you thirst. The man was Jesus, or is Jesus, depending on your perspective. You're play acting here, as I'm asking you to imagine being 2,000 years in the past on a dusty Jerusalem street, busy as any important city thoroughfare. And this man, this foolish man, has just challenged your notions of what is right and what is wrong, of what is significant and what is trivial. Astonishingly enough, these simple truths are still fiercely resisted by staggering legions of hard-headed people. But let's remember the play in which I've asked you to partake. This is Jerusalem, 2,000 years ago. The whole notion of getting right with your neighbors, the whole notion of kindness, the whole notion of being a beacon of hope, that was decidedly not valued in the ancient world. And I'm not talking about merely from the top down. I don't merely mean how the Romans treated the Jews or any of the multitudinous other nations they occupied. I don't merely mean how the religious authorities, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, treated the rest of the populace. I mean how the common people treated each other. Kindness and grace and dignity and being beacons of hope was never seen as how to get right with God. Never seen as achieving your purpose, and not just the assigned purpose from those who would be above you, such as the Romans and the Pharisees. To put it succinctly, Jesus told you, yes, you, that you mattered. But the second you start playing power games is the second you decided that you don't matter anymore. Jesus put it succinctly, nurture your soul. This was revolutionary. This changed everything, so much so that today, here in the 21st century, we take this foolish notion of kindness for granted. So you need to understand this. It all started with him, with Jesus, the Christ. Now here's one other thing that I'm just going to briefly touch on. No other religious leader claimed to be God, not Muhammad, not Buddha, not the many who preached about Hinduism. Now, I'm not talking about cults here. I'm not talking about Dave Koresh and his ilk. I'm speaking of faith traditions. The only leader, the only originator who claimed to be God was Jesus. And his is the only one that preaches universal forgiveness, universal brotherhood, and universal redemption. The only faith tradition whose leader and originator actually is God. There are many proofs of this, which I will speak of in weeks to come. There are many proofs of the empty tomb upon which the entire legacy and reality of Jesus the Christ rests. For now, I wish you to realize the profound, ineradicable debt we owe to Jesus, and perhaps more to the point, the debt that we owe to our ancestors and to ourselves, for we chose, and we choose, to believe in the value of the soul and the value of kindness, faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. We rendered these values commonplace. Jesus pointed the way with the unending wisdom and love of a God, the God. Jesus saved our souls. Now, before I say peace four fingers, I want to say that if you like this, leave a comment, click on like, please subscribe. And now, peace, 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. Happy Easter. Happy Resurrection Sunday. Be good to yourselves.